there's going to be many concepts in the CIPT exam that are going to overlap with themes that I've seen in other privacy exams, and I'm going to be able to carry that knowledge through. Hi you guys, welcome back to Privacy Professional Training. I wanted to document myself studying and passing the CIPT exam. I wanted to show you guys my process and how I go from start to finish. Now, I've got lots of videos on my channel already about how I passed other certifications, but I thought it would be valuable for me to do a series on the channel so you guys can see me start the privacy exam studies from the minute I pick up the textbook and start planning what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to show you guys what date it is. So today is Saturday, January the 10th. So I'm showing you the date because I wanted you guys to see, like, when I tell you that I'm going to be taking between 2 to 3 months to study for my exam, I want you to see what the process looks like. Now, the exam I'm going to be taking is the CIPT. That's the one I'm taking this year. I'll tell you why I'm going to be taking it. The reason why I've chosen to take the CIPT exam is because it's the privacy technology exam. Even though my work is in a legal capacity, I think being able to further understand privacy from a technology and a technical perspective is going to continue to enhance my career. So I'm doing the privacy technology exam. So what we're going to do is, I already downloaded the book onto my iPad, which is why I brought this out. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a rough plan. Now, the first thing that I always address is, when do I have time to study for this? So my plan is to start today. Today is Saturday, January 10th. And I'm going to take 3 months to study for it. Saturday, 10th of January. And I start writing these rough notes because your subconscious is going to start to remember the words that you're proclaiming out of your mouth. So I just took a look at the book, the CIPT book, and depending on, sometimes I buy the physical copy, other times I will purchase the digital copy. I actually have the digital copy on my iPad. This is what I did. I downloaded the body of knowledge onto my iPad. Okay. And I made sure it was the correct version. So after this, I'm going to take a look at what's at scope. So we've got the domain 1, and you can see there's 15 questions, right? Okay, it's a bit blurry, but essentially there's 15 questions. And then I'm going to take a look at the second domain. Second domain's 9 questions. And then the third domain, 19 questions. So currently this has the most amount of questions. So that means I'm going to spend the most amount of time on this section. And then the fourth domain has 11. And the fifth domain has 10. Sixth domain, 12. And then seventh domain, 7. So that's it. So we've already established the fact that the biggest domain is domain 3. Domain 3 has 19 questions, a max of 19 questions. So I'm just going to make a note of that. Domain 3, most questions. The other thing I'm going to do quickly is I'm going to check how long I have to take the exam. Now, how I study, and I've talked about this in other videos, I always look at what has the most questions, and then I will put a lot of my efforts and energies there. The other thing that I do is I look at the domains to see if there's any recurring themes from other privacy exams that I've taken. I spoke about in my YouTube videos about how a lot of the themes within privacy, things like notice, choice, and consent, those are recurring themes that you're going to see in every single privacy exam, whether it's one that's offered by IAPP, ISC squared, or ISACA. There's underlying foundational principles that I may not need to spend as much time reviewing as I will do other sections. So I can already see here that there's discussion about data protection impact assessments in domain 1, foundational principles. So you see this, domain 1, foundational principles, right? I already know the foundational principles of privacy. So essentially, between 13 to 15 questions are going to be very easy points for me to score. So I'm not going to spend all that much time on this because I've taken 6 other privacy exams and I'm very familiar with FIPS. FIPS is in other privacy exams. So you have to strategize for these tests so that you can win, and you can win the first time. I already know foundations of privacy. This is not my first exam. So things like applying the principle of end-to-end security, these are concepts that I've seen before. So in my notepad, I'm just going to make notes of that. Domain 1, I've definitely covered before, so I'm not going to spend as much time on it. Now, the other thing that's of value, and I talked about this when I passed the CISSP examination, is I always take a look at how many pages there are. So according to the CIPT book that I have, that I've pulled up, there are 436 pages. Now, some of these are going to be the title page. Some of these are going to be the glossary section. So let's just say 400 pages, give or take. So about 400 pages for me to read, 400 pages. And then I'm going to spend 3 months studying for it, 3 months. Now, let me tell you and what you can anticipate in this series. Every week, I'm going to record a video for me studying for the test and the different techniques that I include. My study time is going to be on Saturdays, I'm going to do 5 hours. And then on Sundays, I will do another 5 hours. Now, the best time for me is definitely in the morning. I should start my studies no later than 11 a.m. in the morning. You have to set your intentions. If you want to win, you've got to plan. And I've done this for every single test. And I think it's valuable for students that are going to be either purchasing any privacy professional training products or, looking for guidance on how it is that I pass my own tests. What is it that I do, right? How do you learn how to win, right? I was talking recently to somebody and that I said to them, I was like, how did I learn to read? I learned to read by somebody who already knew how to read, teaching me how to read. So if this is your first privacy exam and maybe you're also taking the CIPT this year, maybe you might find value in seeing what my technique is and what my strategies are, given that I've been taking privacy exams since 2019. So I should start studying no later 11 a.m. Okay, that's my other note. And then we also know we got 400 pages. So I'm going to spend 10 hours a week studying. If I have extra time, I will either use flashcards that I got on Quizlet, or I will find additional question papers on the IAPP website, who is the body that is offering this test, or I will find questions that I can do on Quizlet, or I will find questions on Scribd. Those are the two platforms that I use to find additional resources. I never just study from the textbook. I always find additional resources or I create my own. So additional resources, and you're going to see as I continue this series how I obtain the products that I obtain from Scribd and Quizlet, which type of flashcards I download, and how it helps me with my studies. Now, I've talked about this before. Within this period of time, I must read this textbook through 2 times. There's 400 pages, so we'll have 400 one time, 400 another time, and I've got 3 months to study for it. So in a month and a half, I should have read 400 pages, and I have 10 hours a week. So you need to do the division. Every single session that I have, if I have 10 hours a week, 400 pages to read, and we've got a month and a half to do so, we've got 400 pages and 10 hours a week. And we've got a month and a half, that's 6 weeks. I've got 6 weeks to read the book through one time and then another 6 weeks to read it through the second time. So we've got 60 hours, 400 divided by 60 hours, about 63 pages every time I read. 63 pages per weekend, because we've got 6 weeks to do it. So I need to read 31 pages every time I read this. Now, it's going to be easier. The reason why we established at the beginning that the foundational principles are principles that I've already known and understood, I'm going to fly past those pages. They're not going to be pages that I sit on and really understand in depth. There's going to be many concepts in this CIPT exam that are going to overlap with themes that I've seen in other privacy exams, and I'm going to be able to carry that knowledge through to assist me with further examinations. So that's what we're going to do. Every weekend I have to read 63 pages, 30 pages each time. I'm going to identify the domains that I've already covered in the past, and I have to start my studies no later than 11 a.m. on Saturday and no later than 11 a.m. on Sunday. Now, I'm a morning person. I generally wake up around 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. So I've put no later than 11 a.m. for weekends where I'm particularly tired. Maybe I've had a long week. And the reason I've kept my studies exclusively to the weekend is because I have a lot of client work that I do, so I have other obligations. I also like to go on walks. I have a life outside of privacy. I have a life outside of studying for certifications. So the weekend is really the only time that I'm going to have to study. But I need to plan for it because I need to win. So we've already covered here. Domain 3 has most of the questions. Domain 1 I've covered in the past. The other thing I'm going to do is let's go back to this. So this thing has 7 domains. Most of the questions come from domain 2. Domain 1 I've covered a lot in the past. Let's look at other domains that I'm familiar with. So domain 2 is going to require an additional amount of study because it says here, the privacy technologist's role. Now, I don't know what this encompasses, but I want to get better at it. Even though I already practice in the privacy space, you never finish learning. So there's going to be themes in this privacy technologist role that I don't currently do because I'm a legal practitioner. So I need to spend lots of time on domain 2. So let's just write that down. So when we get to the pages related to the privacy technologist role, I know that I need to spend additional time on this. Let's look at domain 3, privacy risks, threats, and violations. Again, these are recurring themes. A lot of the themes related to privacy risks I've covered in the past. So this is again going to be one of those sections that I spend time on, but not too much time on because I'm familiar with some of the themes here. Demonstrate how to minimize privacy risk. I do that on a daily basis through my work. So this is going to be simpler for me than maybe somebody who's brand new. If you're brand new to privacy, you should be spending more time on your studies. I definitely don't think that 30 hours is enough to study for any one test. That's my own personal preference. You guys see that I'm going to be spending at least 120 hours studying for this thing. And I won't take the test until I am scoring 80% of the questions right. I won't. And I've done that every single time I've taken a test. So this is the preliminary. I'm actually going to go ahead and start my studies now. It's January 10th. I anticipate that these videos are going to come out once I've passed the exam, but I thought I would document it going forward because I think it would be valuable for you as students taking your test to be able to understand what you need to grasp. And I think this series is valuable for anybody that is either new or a recurring privacy exam taker like myself. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in another one.